And I spoke about that at the top of my show in regards to these three-eyed fish and these toxic signs and this kind of insinuation that this will endanger the community. And I'd love every person within the Labor Party and all the others sharing these to send them directly to the presidents and prime ministers of all the countries who use nuclear energy effectively. It's essentially saying you are endangering your community. So I'd love to see how diplomacy works there. But you understand that Australians want to know the costs so that we can understand and have a legitimate debate amongst ourselves about whether this is what we want.
Well, Australians are justifiably sceptical of politicians because this Prime Minister promised a $275 reduction. He promised affordable, reliable power. He promised a reduction in emissions, which is not happening. They've been going up under Chris Bowen. And so they are sceptical, and that's why we're doing this in a staged and thoughtful way, in a way that I think is mature and respects Australians in wanting to know if there is a better way forward. We're convinced there is, and we'll continue to lay that out.
I see more headlines when I wake up this morning, and it shouldn't come as a surprise, but it still does. Gas shortages. Despite the amount that we produce in this country, we need something better.
Well, we do, and that's why I laid out when I was the Energy Minister the National Gas Infrastructure Plan, which was all about making sure we get enough gas, particularly in the south of the country. There's a huge crisis now emerging in Victoria because Victoria has opened up no new gas in a long, long time. And the result of that is that we have a deep shortage, and that impacts not just gas supply, it impacts electricity supply. So you've seen the wholesale price of both gas and electricity escalating in recent times. Chris Bowen, soon after getting into the job, ditched the National Gas Infrastructure Plan, and this is the result. It's very clear, Erin, and we've got a crisis in this country. We've got 90% of our baseload generation disappearing by 2035, and we've got an energy minister who is delusional about keeping out alternatives like gas and like nuclear that can play an important role in solving that problem.
Not many people, particularly politicians, like to read too much into opinion polls because it generally comes back and bites you on the bum, if that's the correct terminology. I note the Prime Minister was proudly boasting of his record just a short while ago, not so much anymore. What do you make of some of the polls, particularly preferred PM?
Well, I mean, I take my read as much from what I hear when I'm getting out and about around Australia and in my own electorate. And what I'm hearing is Australians want leadership. They want a leader who can set an agenda, that understands the challenges we're facing. These are very challenging times, a cost of living crisis that's bearing down on Australia, a need for longer term solutions like the one that I've just described, 90% of our baseload generation gone by 2035. And Peter Dutton is providing that leadership. He did at the budget and reply speech in talking about the importance of aligning immigration with housing supply. Of course, we've done the same thing in the last few days with energy, and we'll continue to. They're crying out for leadership. They're not getting it from this weak and indecisive Prime Minister. And I think Albanese is showing Australians he's not up to the job.
Holly Hughes, New South Wales Senator, was relegated to an unwinnable position. She came out incredibly strongly against you. I think she accused you of treachery, incompetence. What's your reaction to that? Are you treacherous and are you incompetent?
Oh, look, pre-selection contests are tough, and I can understand that that people find them tough, and you know that, Erin. But at the end of the day, these are democratic processes. I fought very, very hard for many years to make sure we have democratic processes inside the New South Wales Liberal Party. I fought alongside your father, Jim, and of course Tony Abbott, and the three of us were really wanting to make sure that the members of the New South Wales Liberal Party have their say over who their candidate should be, and they've made that decision. That can be tough, but democracy ultimately gets it right, and that's the outcome. But I'll work alongside all our Senate candidates to make sure we give ourselves the very best chance of winning at the next election.
What I'd say on that is the exact same thing happened with my dad in 2019. I've seen both sides of this. And you play the game, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And I think when you lose, it's hard to swallow when someone comes out and is as accusatory as she was of you. I thought that was unfair. Finally, one of the other things that was written this week that you have aspirations for the leadership of the Liberal Party. Are you wanting to take over from Peter Dutton as leader?
Well, I do have aspirations. I have great ambition to be the Treasurer of this great country, Erin, and I think the Treasurer we have right now isn't up to it. I don't think he understands the pressures that Australians are facing and the solutions that they need. And I think Peter Dutton is the right man to be our next Prime Minister, and I'm going to be working alongside of him to make sure he's the next Prime Minister and I'm the next Treasurer after the next election.
Angus Taylor, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Erin.